relógio já passou dos 49 prometidos pelo árbitro. Cai a chuva. Que tensão. Cobrança de escanteio. Alisson! Alisson! Gol!
Yeah, right. So welcome to Pass and Move. And obviously, I'm the host. And I can't wait. Really excited.
Yeah, Matt drew the short straw. So take it away, Matt.
So we have Manny here today.
Hello, gentlemen.
Austin.
Good evening.
And James.
Evening all.
We're going to kick off with post-match, Leeds, Liverpool. Go.
Wait, there was a game this weekend?
Seamless. There was a game. There was a game, and we won it handsomely.
It was a red carpet massacre.
Yeah,
it was a massacre.
I felt like the first half looked like one of those matches where the breaks, we were dominating and attacking, and just the goals would not come, right? So it was one of those where you started to fear, are they going to, is Leeds going to nip one, against the run of play? So, it was a little nervous in the first half, but I think the team came out just as strong in the second half, started to finish their chances, really started to dominate play. The red card clearly changed the game right after that. I don't think they barely saw the ball after that. So obviously worked into our favor. But I thought the team played great, right? The midfield, I feel like, have we had the same midfield in any of our first matches? And they all seem to fit seamlessly with everybody else, right? So I think there's this great cohesion with the team. And I think you really saw it when Harvey Elliott got injured, right? That the whole team seemed to panic. Everyone came out from the bench, right? There was really a club unity there that I don't see in any other club, right? There doesn't seem to be any disharmony at all. Even when they try to play up that, that one time Mane and Salah had that little tiff on the bench, right? You're like, that's the best they can come up with, because there is it's all harmony, which is fantastic.
Yeah. Especially the reflex reaction of Mo, that's said it all, and then getting the people off from the bench, but I thought first 10 minutes they had their chances, a couple of chances, and it was sort of tethering well.
And what are the chances?
Half chances, yeah, but they didn't have a view to kill, did they? So I thought Mo, he's playing he's hungry like a wolf at the minute, isn't he? So going for it, and he started the season really on blob.
Fabinho had a hell of a match. He looked like he was still in Rio, right? He was dancing on the sand there for quite some time. It was amazing.
Tel Aviv.
Oh dear, yes.
Back to planet Earth. It's. I know we're getting too close to the sun.
And listen, it's not an ordinary world out there, right? The team is playing with some hunger and passion. It's like it's men against girls, particularly the kind of girls you find on film.
Yeah, exactly. It's, we made Leeds look like boys in the end, Just,
Wild boys?
Yeah. Wild boys, their fans were wild boys with some of the chatting, which we'll touch on later. But
did you catch?
It was a very dominant performance. I thought we were great probably from the 10 minutes onwards. Thiago, I'm going to call him the chauffeur. He just drives the midfield, cruises. I
thought Thiago was one of the best games I've seen him to date since he signed for us. I thought he was really, really good.
Yeah, he did make Garth Crooks Team of the Week. So,
did he?
Yeah.
Oh God.
He knows what he's talking about.
It's not much of an accolade, is it?
Yeah, although he does pick Van Dijk every week.
Oh, does he?
or whether he just doesn't bother turning that page over. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a point? I think you just put down his name and you're going to be right 99% of the time.
That's right. Yeah, it's Van Dijk plus 10 others. Yeah. But no, we were brilliant. Like you said, Thiago was fantastic. He helped press them back, so that we basically had sort of 5 players pressing them back into their own half the entire time. And apart from the sort of brief 5-minute flurry after Elliott got injured and they looked a bit lively and we looked a bit stumped, it was a bit of a breeze. And that second goal took a while coming, and I started to stress a bit, as you may have noticed on the Facebook feed. But after Fabinho scuffed that master one in, it was a cruise, really.
We are looking really solid at the moment. I know it's only 4 games in, but we are just looking like I don't know. It's not like we're going hell for leather at teams. Well, we don't seem to be.
We haven't really looked like we've got out of first gear yet, to be honest.
I feel like, that's kind of how we were in the championship, the season we won the league, right? Like, we never really had to get out of second gear, right? The second gear was enough to beat the rest of the league, right? And in the games where we had to kick it on, we somehow managed and found a way, right? Either through luck or through hard work or perseverance, things fell in the right place. And I think if you just follow the system and keep doing what works, you will win in the end. And it's amazing what not having to go with your 6th and 7th choice center backs can do for a team and their league position, despite what all the pundits said last year.
Yeah.
But the only thing my concern is the second game in a row it's Harvey Elliott this game, and the game before was Firmino. So I'm just saving a prayer that the injury curse doesn't kick back in again.
Yeah, my fear is a lot of times with those dislocations or ligament damage, it's far worse than a break. That actually the break would have a much shorter recovery time. So hopefully the news we get back isn't too bad.
But haven't they come out with a statement today saying that he's had an operation and it all went well?
Yeah, but we can't expect him back before Christmas.
No.
But hopefully in the new year he's back there fighting fit.
Yeah. I wonder what they actually operated on, though. I assume it's like ligaments or something.
Dislocated ankle by all accounts. So I don't know if James heard any different.
Is that not ligaments, though? Dislocated ankle?
It normally would be. It would be at least overstretched, if not torn. So he's been undergoing treatment, and I just wish they'd stop the violence. Is my only wish. It was a real sin in the city of Leeds to commit that sort of atrocity. To be fair, I was more angry about the reaction after the incident than the actual incident itself. Those sort of tackles do happen, but we live in a strange world now where people seem more concerned with not upsetting the person who's perpetrated the act than sympathising with the victim of it.
Yeah. You did feel there was far more talk about it not being a red than the health of Harvey Elliott, right? Personally, I don't think it was a red. I mean, I've seen James Miller do that tackle a million times, right? I think it's just really unfortunate. Harvey even posted, right, that he didn't think it was a red. Really, I think it's just a really unfortunate situation, but it is one of these tackles that you could potentially injure someone because you're not really in control in that kind of a slide, right? And then as they're trying to do this whole be more lenient and let things go, more and more of these types of tackles are going to occur, which will lead to more and more injuries that could potentially have been avoided if you simply try to control the game and keep it a little bit more standing up rather than on the ground. Yeah,
it's a red as per the laws of the game, though, isn't it? Because he was off the ground. I mean, literally off the ground.
Well, even without that, he's tackling from behind. I mean, I disagree with the Milner statement because Milner doesn't tackle from behind. He comes in from the side and clatters you off the pitch. That guy was tackling from behind, both feet off the ground.
Yeah. Champions League. AC Milan.
I'm surprised that there hasn't been more talk about this, right? It seems like it's been swept under the rug and it's kind of popping up out of nowhere, but it's good. I like that we're having our first game at home. Let's get started on the front foot, get a win under our belt, and in probably the best position we can. So you just get the ball rolling. Winning begets more winning, and it just builds the team with confidence. And if we can front load those wins, then we can really take it easy. When our schedule is getting more and more packed, and we just have some games at the end, if we could just put in some, second-rate team, like your B team in there in their place, right? So that we can keep our stars healthy. I think it's for the best.
Sorry, what is it? You need pretty much 3 home. You need to win all your home games.
10 points, basically, and you should be through, like on paper, And I think the key tomorrow night will be getting off to a good start, having a home win, because the next 2 games are away. Who else have we got? We've got. I know it's not Atletico next to us, but who else we've got? Porto. It's Porto away, and then Atletico away, and then we're home to Atletico.
Yeah.
Home to Porto and away to Milan. So.
Porto, we absolutely batter every time we get them, don't we? So
yeah. So you'd be hoping they had 6 points on the board after 2 games, and even nicking a draw at Atletico. You're sitting pretty, and with 3 games to go. So a good start is key. As Man United will probably vouch after tonight.
That's it. Hopefully we can get the 3 points against the old men of Milan, where they couldn't get them against the young boys of Switzerland.
Hey.
Did you watch
it? No.
I watched bits of it because it was on the radio, and I thought, oh my god, they've actually conceded a goal, and it was 1-1, and then realised they had a player sent off.
Yes.
And then for some unbeknown reason, he decided to put after they had the player sent off, he decided to get 3 defenders on or something, and take Ronaldo and Fernandes off.
That's your Norwegian PE teacher for you, innit?
Yeah.
Master tactician. He's like, I know what'll get him. We're gonna take off our goal scorers, and then they're gonna relax, and then we.
Yeah. It's like mind games from the Norwegian PE teacher.
Looking at the Serie A table, Milan are 3-0. They got 3 wins, from their first 3 matches. So okay. I think the positive for us is Donnarumma is off to PSG. So
yeah,
I'm not sure who their keeper is now, but I'm glad he's not there. Right? I think he's brilliant. He did really well for Italy.
I think the way we've started the season, we're in good, confident mood. Like I can't see too much of a change. It'll just be enough the same 11 as Sunday, but will he start Hendo or will he start Keita or maybe the Ox in midfield to keep that drive in midfield? So it'll be interesting to see what the starting 11 will be.
And I'd love him to prove me wrong, but I'd be surprised if the Ox was starting. And from his recent performances,
did you think he was terrible in the Leeds game? Yeah.
I think he started really poorly. There was one ball that trickled into midfield that he made no effort to grab, even though he was the closest guy. There was a few incidents where I'm just like, what is he doing? It didn't make any sense. He got better as the game progressed, but he started off really bad, I thought, when he came on in Leeds.
I think the key is to make sure we don't come undone in our first game. I
wouldn't be surprised if Konate gets his first start against Milan.
Yeah, you don't want to be a hothead. You don't want to get carried away and start hallucinating like Elvis. But I've got a lot of faith in the colour, so I think we can get a good result tomorrow, and then head off on our away travels in the next couple of fixtures.
Do you like music? Are you fed up with listening to the same old playlists over and over? Then you need to dial into 365 Radio. You can find us on www.365radio.co or the online Radio Box app, MyTuner app, 365 Radio Apple and Android apps, as well as all the usual ways you get your internet radio, Radio Garden, Streamer, etc. 365 Radio. It's music just the way you like it.
You want to intro it? You're the host.
Oh God, yeah. All right. So, the weekend, did you enjoy watching the continual Ronaldo show?
I thought it was getting pretty old. I thought it was getting pretty old, all the pundits talking about, despite the missed chances he had, they were, filleting themselves over, look at the positions he's getting in. Before the guy even passes, he's running. It's because he's not aware or cognizant or cares what anybody else does on the pitch besides himself. And by that same token, if you look at the game Mane had, we were uber critical about him getting himself into positions and not finishing. But if you look at it through the lens through which they're talking about Ronaldo, you can also say, look at the positions he got himself in and just wasn't able to finish, right? So by that same token, the two of them kind of did similar things in the match, right? If if not for Jota's pass being a little too far behind him, if it was more even with his body, he probably just taps that in. And we're talking about a brace for him as well, right? And so, yes, Ronaldo's fast. He's going to try to run into positions regardless of who's paying attention, because he knows he's going to get the ball. Because if he doesn't, he's going to give him a bollocking afterwards, right? So what are you surprised by? What did you think you were getting, right? And then the keeper gives him 2 goals, right? He spills that first one right into his path, and then there's nothing there except for him to touch it in. And then he shoots it right at him, and he lets it go between his legs. It was laughable. And
I'm being serious. Friends of mine think like he's the man who caught a leopard. You know, it's Ronaldo. Like he's passed to the scene tonight in the game there, like, and he was through 1-on-1, and the centre half just came in and hit the ball. He's not the player that he was.
No, I mean, you've got to remember he's playing a team managed by Steve Bruce with their third choice goalkeeper, who are playing strikers in midfield and defenders on the wing and wingers up front. Anyone could have beaten that side.
I would have scored. I could have scored a hat-trick against them. You know?
It's just ludicrous the amount of build-up there was for it. You know, day after day for a full week. Oh, it's coming closer. It's coming. It reminded me of that Simpsons episode where they kept going, Gabbo, Gabbo,
Gabbo! Did you see that?
Yeah.
What's Gabbo?
I figure it's some guy's name. Some guy named Gabbo.
And then, he scores a tap in against a part-time semi-professional side, and all the media just lost their minds completely whilst they build up United and continue to knock us down with negative stories. It's hugely frustrating.
Yeah, it was a bit. That whole weekend was a bit bizarre because we were the only game on the Sunday, and of course, Match of the Day 2 was just our game. And yet they did again spend more time talking about Ronaldo, and it's like, we were the main game. Yeah. I mean, Leeds must feel gutted because they barely got a sniff in terms of coverage.
I feel like with Ronaldo, though, you get his whole PR machine, right? And so there's this understanding that if he's there, he has to be talked about, which is unfortunate for everybody else, right? If you're a United supporter, you got to feel for Sancho, Van der Beek, all these people who are probably going to lose time on the pitch, who really are the ones they really need to be developing if they're looking towards the future. Or you're just going to keep bringing in pensioners to plug the gaps in while these other players wilt away, right?
It'll be interesting to see how he fares when he starts playing like top table teams in the top 8, so to speak. Like West Ham will be interesting on Saturday. See how he gets on. Like he played against young boys tonight, like, and average European team. And from what I've seen, he was nowhere in the game. Like, I know I'd never seen the first goal, watched the first half, but a couple of times he was through, and the centre half was just leading for pace and all that, like, which is not Ronaldo.
I think the biggest impact is going to be psychologically. He's lifted the club massively. Obviously the fans and the rest of the team. And the good thing about the result tonight is it might puncture that somewhat and bring them back to reality, because United as a club runs on arrogance.
The bad
result Saturday as well, because it's a tough one away, West Ham on Saturday, that they've proved now that they are a team to be considered,
I think even the nonsense I heard today was no one on the Man U squad ate dessert after the game because Ronaldo refused to eat dessert, and you're like, what the fuck are we talking about here? Like, I heard so he doesn't eat dessert, and then, what are they, a bunch of schoolboys chasing like their idol around? Like it's so
seriously.
I
missed that. Seriously, yeah.
He didn't have dessert, so nobody ate dessert. On the squad.
That was like a news item, and they were. It was on the BBC Football Daily podcast thing, and they were saying it like it was. They were reporting it like it was some sort of revelation that footballers don't eat shit food.
My question is, why is dessert available?
I was spared most of it because I was on a 3-day bender in Dublin, so I've missed most of the hype and all that. Like,
that's every weekend, though.
That young boys results. Okay, now.
That's every weekend, though, Austin. You don't need to go to Ireland for that.
Oh, come on!
It just happened to be in Ireland.
So now
that's the news.
Now the entire United squads are adopting young boys and pretending that their son getting themselves beards in to pretend they're wives, and filling out their tax forms in crayons.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to see them go up against some real competition. I don't think they've really faced anybody that is you would have expected to give them a challenge. So obviously they've had it pretty light. We'll see how it goes. The other guy getting on there keep crowing about Lukaku, but he did nothing against our defense, right? He was invisible the entire match. So then you face nobodies and you're scoring goals. Yeah, that's what you did before and why you were sold. Let's see if, I think when United face Chelsea, City, us, it's going to be a completely different story, a completely different tune.
The interesting thing is the pundits are already, you can feel them starting to backtrack a little bit because no one's mentioned us. And if they have, we've been fairly dismissed. And in the last couple of days, you started to feel the pundits starting to say, Liverpool look quite good, actually.
Yeah. We're back into that talk.
Seen that tonight. Guy Neville sort of backtracking a bit, I believe. I've seen the headline. He's changed his opinion a little bit, So
we're back into potential winners, and they're all crowing. Well, Liverpool didn't sign anybody, but their signing is Van Dijk, right? He's back. And I'm like, yeah, of course. No shit. This is what we were saying last season.
Was this the Gary Neville who said, I'm not being biased, but Ronaldo's the best player in the world. I'm not being biased. No? Are you not, Gary? Are you sure?
I saw a great meme about Salah that they were talking about. Salah's had a better year every single year than Neymar, yet Neymar is considered one of the world's greatest players. And he's playing in a Mickey Mouse league as well. So, Salah is not getting his due. And I know Moose loves to harp on this, how much I was harping on him last season. But I think what I'm seeing in him this season now is he's much different than that ultra selfish player he was last year. Like the team unity seems to be back in a big way.
Did you think it ever went away though?
I think when things got really bad, when there's loss after loss, that people started to maybe get a little bit away from that team mentality into I need to be the one who makes a difference, right? And then when you start to do those kinds of things, then the gel and people working together kind of collapses a bit, right? Because that was
the last third of the season. I thought we were well together, especially to get over the line to the Champions League and all that. And I'm just reading today, the stats don't lie. Like we're the only team now unbeaten in the league in 14 games. We have
the longest unbeaten streak in the league right now.
And when I heard Guy Neville there saying that today, I thought that came out yesterday. I said, was there a new moon on Monday? So I had to check the skies.
It's fucking. Did you see this today? And he was on Twitter toasting there because when Ronaldo scored against Young Boys, he's filmed himself on Twitter like cheersing himself with a glass.
He's got the champagne out again.
Oh, is it champagne? Yeah.
That's what he did.
He never learns, does he?
And then of course they get beat.
They won some Champions League game or something last season. He had the bottle of champagne out. He's God. And they keep playing that trailer on Sky of when Company scores for City a couple of seasons ago.
Oh yeah,
against Leicester.
You can hear in his voice the lust. He's like, oh, where do you want your statue, Vincent? Oh, he's actually on his knees already. Oh, he's just a horrible man.
I want to see what happens at United when a penalty is given in their favor. Who takes it if both him and Fernandes are on the pitch? Obviously, it's going to be Ronaldo because if Fernandes wants to also play for the Seleção for the Portuguese team, he better know his place when it comes to the Man U squad as well.
One of the funny things in that the bits that I did watch of that Young Boys game was Ronaldo actually doing the usual Ronaldo roll around thing for a penalty. And you just think that's how desperate they got against Young Boys.
Well, that reminds me of something last night in the Everton game, because before the Everton game there was obviously the standard meme going around Twitter of get your bingo card out for what minute Richarlison will be rolling around eating grass. It was something like 4 minutes in, he was rolling around, screaming and chewing on the pitch. But the commentator said, "Oh, that's a terrible tackle. He's not actually hit him that hard, but the follow through, incredibly dangerous." I think, hang on, is this the same game that I was watching the day before, where a kid got his leg broken from a tackle from behind, both feet off the ground, and you all went, "Oh, there was nothing in that tackle, nothing in it.
Yeah,
what's he being sent off for?"
Speaking of the Everton match, question for this group: does your opinion of Everton change with Rafa Benitez in charge of them? Does it?
No.
I'm not saying they're liked. Are they slightly improved? Do you want Rafa to win if it isn't against us?
No.
Couldn't care
No.
less.
I think they are better because.
Well, they look more organised. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think Ancelotti is a great manager, but I think he just got there and he'd had the phone call and had been told all the tales and been told how much he gets to spend, and then he got there and went, "Fucking hell."
Yeah.
Is this full-time football? We're playing it, and I think he just lost interest. So I think they are improved, but no, hopefully they'll still get relegated.
But I feel like, but if anything we know about Rafa and Istanbul is he can make mountains out of molehills. So giving him no budget, he can still at least make.
He got Jimmy Traore. He got Jimmy Traore a Champions League medal. So
he's got an ex-Reading, hasn't he? Because he's got one of our old goalkeepers who maybe made one appearance. I can't remember his name. I think he's
really?
Yeah. We got an emergency keeper in a few seasons ago. He sat on our bench for a few weeks. And,
well, he does bring some also rans, like he brought Javier Manquillo over to Newcastle when he went there, right? He's like, all right, who can I pip out of these guys?
I mean, the bizarre story today was the one saying, James Rodriguez came in under a banner of expectation and excitement, and what's gone wrong? And you think, what's gone wrong is what happens at every club that James Rodriguez goes to. He gets paid a lot, and then he sits there and does nothing.
Yeah.
Is he still there?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought maybe like when Ancelotti left, I felt like the only reason he went there clearly was Carlo, and now that he's gone, I didn't know if he like.
Aren't they trying to sell him?
Oh, desperately, but he's just another player. It's the classic case of a small club buying a player who's too good for them, so they've had to overpay him, and now they can't get rid because no one wants to pay his wages. Yeah, it's a tale as old as time.
I should say though, the more I watch Burnley play, the more they become one of my most hated sides to watch play. I'm like, it's just dire football. They're like, why are they even in the Premier League? They should. I hope they can't get relegated fast enough.
Yeah, the problem with them is they start every season like this, and you think maybe this year they'll get relegated.
Yeah, and they never bloody do they?
They never do. No, they always scrape up enough points to stay up. Infuriating.
That's exactly what I mean. Deitch was on the post-match thing afterwards. I caught that, and I thought that's such a Deitch thing to say. We've been here before, we'll be all right. We'll pick up some points along the way. I'm sure we'll get back into it.
We've been here before. We'll get there. As soon as I get some lozenges for my throat, we'll be all right.
You can use that speech in the Championship. We've been here before. We'll get out of it.
Yeah, I mean they're screwed without him, though, aren't they? They've got new owners as well, Burnley. And
I disagree. I had an argument years ago with a Burnley fan saying that they show no ambition, and he was saying, "Well, we're a small club and this and that." It's like, yeah, but you've been in the Premier League, donkey's years. I
wonder what they've done with the money.
Exactly.
They don't really buy anyone, and the owners don't seem.
I think a semi-decent manager who wanted to play a bit of football might actually build that into something, but.
Definitely bought Sean any decent lozenges. Fuck.
Are we still on Burnley? Sorry, I had to step away for a second.
Yeah, we're still on Burnley.
Well, I was going to say, teams they're like, well, with Sean Dyche, they're never going to get relegated. Yeah, but you're going to be lost in mediocrity forever. Like, is it better to take a chance or to just stay in the Premier League and just be an average team forever, right? Like, what are your aspirations? Surely it can't be to just coast, which is what they do, right? And
they don't even have a good cup run. You can see through, like if he's taking like the quarterfinals, the cups and all that kind of stuff, or semi-finals, but they don't even do that. They're just plodding along, like, and they, as Matt said there, what are they doing with the money?
You feel like you kind of play defensively, you build a spine, and then from there you start to try to change to improve and get better and move ahead. But they seem to be happy to just be right in the middle, right? And teams come and they take a chance and they roll the dice, and sometimes you get relegated, but at least you're putting on a show for the fans, or your supporters have something decent to watch, and you can say, well, at least they made an effort. Can any Burnley supporter go, we're trying? Like, I don't think they can. Like, I'd be like,
but there's Brentford have come up and they're having a bash. It's shocking. Like, and that's a new young club as well with new investment and all that, but it's They are. I just hope that's what Manny said. I just hope they do get relegated, like, you know, just because he's just Sam Allardyce in the sort, like, you know.
Yeah, they're the new Stoke.
Only a ginger.
Right? When Stoke went down, I was like, finally. Stoke went down, I was like, finally, we could be done with this albatross. And then Burnley comes up, and you're like, shit.
Yeah.
You're like the phoenix rising from the ashes. Here comes another turd to stink up the league.
I mean, it's just another club that you look at and think, we're the best run club in the league, you know, if not Europe. We're, you know, all the Twitterati that you've mentioned in previous weeks. I saw one, not even disguising it, just saying FSG out, they run this club for profit. And you thought, but that's how you run a business. Yes. Hang on, yeah. You're criticising them for taking a club that were in debt and going to the wall, and are now in profit and have an amazing stadium and an amazing squad.
Well, I think
they're actually trying. I can't believe, but they're actually trying to run a demo on Saturday before the Palace game against FSG. Yeah, I've seen a couple of things came up, like just fucking knobheads, you know. Meeting by the airpost, and there was actually a banner. I don't know if Sky got off it quickly on Sunday, just as they started the broadcast, talking about the FSG, you know. But they shot off it quickly, you know. So it's just fucking nonsense.
Yeah, I mean, they are operating the club for a profit, and you can argue that I wish there were bigger signings, but you could run a club for profit the way we are, right? Successfully, well thought out. There's a game plan. There's a vision. There's a road. Or you could be running it like Arsenal for profit, and you could be the laughing stock of the league where people are cheering that you were able to finally get a win 1-0 against Norwich in a goal that trickled over the fucking line. And they're crowing about Arteta. They're like, yeah, you can't badmouth him. I mean, he barely scraped a win here by pure luck, right? Against the absolute worst team that has been in the Premier League over how many years? Like, right? So at least we're doing it the right way in the correct fashion. Yeah.
They've expanded the ground. Before they came in, we're if they're going to go into administration, we could have been points deducted, even relegated possibly, you know. And it's
Epic swindle.
Yeah, you know, it's just what they've done, you know. They haven't done a few things right, but as I say, they're new to the game, they're learning, but
I mean, what boss have you ever had that you agree with everything that they do? You know, it's just you're not gonna. They're gonna make a few mistakes, you know, but they're using what you might call a bit of American science to bring success back to the club.
The run's officially the Anfield Road now is going to be extended as well. The main stand, I prefer sitting in the main stand, best part of the ground. Like, you know, it's
the game's great as seen from a distance. You know?
Yeah, and also I lost my train of thought.
It's a ball of confusion. It's a ball of confusion.
Oh, yeah.
God, you're such a crap guest. Why do I have you on?
It'll come to me.
But you've come there, haven't you, Manny?
Oh, I was going to say, I feel like Michael Edwards also doesn't get his due. When I saw that he could potentially not be re-signing, I was kind of in like, shit, like that's one guy we shouldn't be losing. No one crows about the epic swindles he's performing on every other club and how he manages to get these fantastic players at way under market value. Right?
It's just careless memories, Manny.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say, Michael, you've got a lot to answer for. Yeah, that's.
The police want to speak to you. There's a lot of highway robbery going around Europe.
He's a night runner. It's funny, actually, there is a tie between Burnley and Arsenal because I was speaking to a friend at the weekend and he said, an Arsenal fan, and he said, oh, we should get Sean Dyche.
He would be great for Arsenal TV, though.
Can you imagine? It would go off air like the end of the Blair Witch Project with the camera just falling over on its side.
The Robbie would just be able to retire. He would never need to work again.
Just put the microphone outside. The job would do itself.
It would just be clicks he'd get.
It would just be 24 hours of screaming. That was just constant screaming non-stop.
It'd be the blood fan count would the meter would break. They couldn't count that high.
It'd be like being lonely in your nightmare, wouldn't it?
Well, it's a lonely business, you know.
It's a very lonely business, especially when you're hungry like a wolf. But Arsenal, on Arsenal, actually, they won.
Just about.
Yeah, barely.
What? It was against a
I must say, when I was watching
team.
the highlights, Tim Krul, I thought played really well, made a lot of saves. But again, Arsenal can't possibly finish on the top half of the table, right? They look really, really bad.
Yeah,
I think if they do, it will show the sort of paucity of the league that a club playing that badly can just sort of filter into the top half purely because everyone else is a bit worse. And there are a lot of, they're saying it's going to be the sort of the tightest title race ever this year with 4, again, this stuck in my throat, Gary Neville saying that, the 4 best teams in the world now playing in the Premier League in City, United, Chelsea and Liverpool.
Once he said Spurs.
But okay, so those 4 are strong, United side. But there's some really terrible teams in the league this year. I mean,
there are some very bad teams.
Newcastle, Southampton, Burnley, just dreadful.
Southampton are like super average. Also taken his best players. They've sold his best players underneath him.
But apparently all that money's gone on buying him new waistcoats and pinstripe trousers. Not gone on the squad, that's for sure. When you end up with Theo Walcott as your main man again after 10 years of work.
Yeah, it seems like they had pieces and keep selling it off, and they don't really seem to be filling them in the right way. It's not like they play bad football, right? I think they play an attractive style. They're a fun team to watch, right? But the investment doesn't seem to be back into what they have coming in doesn't seem to be put back onto the pitch.
I think they got confused this summer and thought, we haven't sold enough of our players. So at the last minute, the captain and chief centre-back, just to make sure they had pushed enough people out the door to weaken their squad for the coming season. Bizarre transfer policy.
So who do you, having seen, what are we in, 3 games in, who's going down?
Hang on. I need to look at the table to see who's the worst.
I think I'll start. All right. So I think you got Norwich and Newcastle definitely going down, right? I don't see how either of those two stay up. They're really bad. Then the third team, I think, then is it's quite the beer bottle opening. Jesus Christ. What is that made out of? Nature Glycerin? Jesus Christ.
Some sort of backfiring elephant over there.
And so then I'm like, so who then is the third team? I don't know.
Burnley, hopefully.
So who do you think?
God willing.
Do you think Watford will go down?
They could do. They really could. But as I say, I mean, Wolves look terrible. Southampton are
Do Wolves look terrible? I think Wolves have been playing well. They just can't score. And if they start firing and if Jimenez gets on it, I see them staying up. I'd be surprised if they went down.
Top starts, Wolves, to be fair. There's a couple of 2 top 6 teams to play, because there's no that to be fancy football. But I think they'll be all right. Your man seems a good manager. He's got them playing the right way. It's just as Manny says, they just need to find it back of the net. They get 1 goal, I reckon they'll get 3 or 4, so start scoring.
It does seem like there's continuity from when Nuno was there, right? So I think they'll stay up. They play a good style. They just got to realize that Adama Traore is useless, right? He scores no goals. He has no assists. I'm not sure what he does there. He's fast. He puts that Dwayne The Rock Johnson arm butter on for the camera.
It's the Raheem Sterling of Wolves. That's what he is. He's the Sterling of Wolves. He's all the press, but doesn't actually do anything.
You could possibly argue there's probably about 7 that could be fighting relegation. Even I thought Leeds were terrible. So they've got off their terrible start. Can they turn that around? Arsenal, you never know.
I wouldn't be surprised with Leeds because they don't seem to have learned a defensive lesson from last season, right? So you can't just be marauding all the time and you can't not change when the game changes. It just seems like they have a one approach and it's all out all the time, regardless of what the situation is.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that is Bielsa, though.
Yeah.
Apparently, that's tactical genius. That's Bielsa ball.
I don't quite. There's a reason why he's never won a trophy.
Exactly. Yeah.
Listen, it's exciting for people to watch, right? Kind of when I made my 3-0 prediction, I'm like, they're going to come at us. They're not going to sit back, and so we are going to eat that up. Like, I think it plays right into our hands. A team that wants to attack, bring it on. It's not going to work, right? We're defensively sound. We're defensively sound with only 3 men back, right? We don't even need the full squad back. So
that's what blew my mind, though, was that last week everyone on the pod was so assured that we were going to just stroll in there, win 2 or 3-0. I didn't disagree entirely, but every paid pundit on your mainstream media was like, oh, it's going to be a tough game for Liverpool. They've got a crowd in, as if Liverpool have never played in front of a crowd before.
Not sure if they've seen Liverpool's crowd.
I wish we had songs. It's just apparently it was going to be a really tough game, and it really wasn't. The only reason it was a tough game was we, as I said on the Facebook post, we got to 1-0 and started fannying around. And it was only once we got that second goal, it was like, oh, this is just a walk in the park now.
Yeah, it was. It was sort of typical of the media yet again writing us off. But I think that's all it is. They seem to be doing it continually.
I'd rather be written off.
Lawmakers because we're proving them wrong, and
I think once we were the heir apparents and we're the best, I feel like everybody kind of took it down a notch, right? And then that fire in the belly of chasing City, which is what made us do progressively better and better seasons when you think we've already made an insurmountable number of points, right? We just kept getting better and better because we were chasing something. And I feel I want to be in the chasing seat. I think the team plays better when we have the kind of the odds against us and we're being counted out, right? I think people then get a point to prove. You got Robertson shoving Messi in the head, right? Completely disrespectful of the so-called best player in the world, right? Like he's like
the actual best player in the world. I think you'll find.
No.
Yeah. Oh, interesting game.
Too short to be the best player.
Well, no, right, yeah, no, brilliant. Because they had
good looking enough. Does he have an underwear brand? Does he sell his own underwear?
I admit he looks like the sex dwarf off of Eurocrash from many years ago. But they had this debate on Sky this morning saying who's the best, and they went to one of the female journalists they had on, and her answer was, "Oh, it's Ronaldo because he can head from corners." That was it. There was nothing else. Just he can head from corners, so it's Ronaldo. I thought that's unusual.
My argument is he's a more complete player than Messi. Is he a bigger prick on the pitch? Absolutely. I don't think that disqualifies you from being a better player.
I don't know in what way he's a more complete player. I mean, he dives more.
How many headers has Messi scored?
Well, that's just stat.
Well, that's clearly a part of the game. I would count that as. So my father, when I ask him who's better, Maradona or Pele, he will always say Pele because he was a more complete player. He could finish with his feet or his head and everything else, right? So I kind of take that into the Messi-Ronaldo argument that Ronaldo's a more complete player and he has more tricks in the locker.
That's like saying the Volvo is the best car in the world because it's the most complete car because it has safety, speed, fuel economy, 4 seats. That's just not an argument.
Right, but what if Lamborghini had Volvos? Right, we're not talking about Ronaldo. Ronaldo's not an also-ran, right? He's all-time leading international goal scorer. Hello.
Yeah, but
Ronaldo. He's like Ronaldo wants your love. Like
you found that out, right? You found that out, right, Austin? A couple weeks ago.
He cheated. He shouldn't have been on the pitch. He should have been sent off. And he's one of them players. He wants your love, and Messi.
They can't send off the pretty boy. They can't send off the pretty boy. They know where their bread is buttered.
But Messi all day for me. Number 10, Argentina.
I think Messi's a better all-round player.
Listen, I'm obviously biased, right? So
yeah.
Take that with a grain of salt.
I think Ronaldo's a phenomenal athlete. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he genuinely is he's inhuman. In terms of, he should be well.
He doesn't eat dessert. I'm eating fucking cake all day.
I
could be the world's greatest footballer if I stayed away from the sweets.
Exactly.
That is the secret of Ronaldo's success. Is literally that.
Yeah, you got to wear his underwear or his pants and not eat sweets.
I mean, I think Zlatan is a better player. To be fair,
Get the hell out of it! Nah, Jesus Christ! Now you've lost all credibility.
Yeah. I think technically he's a better player. He's got more all round than Ronaldo does.
No, the only way he's better than Ronaldo is he's a bigger asshole.
Well, apparently that's part of the package.
The arsehole package. That's what you're buying into.
That's right. It's a new stat on Football Manager. Assholeness.
Yeah.
and doesn't eat sweets.
Excellent. So as we're literally, well, I say me struggling for things to talk about, was there any other business?
People still sing Hillsborough songs and none of that shit makes the news. Meanwhile, you make any slight insult about anybody for anything and nobody stops talking about it. And you're like, how long? Like there literally was a legal case where it was found that none of the fans were responsible for any of the shit that happened. Yet people still don't call that shit out to bring an end to it, right? Like we're talking about stamping out everything, racism, gender inequality, homophobia, right? All these things. And there's this big push against, but talking ill of the dead who had no fault in the murders that took place to them and and the horrors it's caused families and everything else seems to get a fucking pass, which is unconscionable, right? You're like, we're talking about people's lives here.
But what's more upsetting? Not upset. Well, that is upsetting. But what's upsetting is that when Liverpool was singing the Chelsea song the other week, it was just all over the media. There was no mention of even when Harvey Elliott went off with the injury. The Leeds fans saying Harvey Elliott broke his leg or something like that, which is it's a bit. But they were constantly singing the Hillsborough songs as well throughout the game, and I've seen videos where they're doing the mocking gestures as well to Liverpool fans, and it's the police standing by them, and it's just no call out of it at all, even by Liverpool Football Club, who should take a step up when it happens, because they're quick to call us out when anything happens, like particularly the other week with Chelsea. And it's just it's only when it seems when we shout out anything that it's brought to light, it's just a joke too.
But that is, I guess, from the media's point of view, you could argue that is one of the not downside, but the fact that we are so big with such a huge global audience, then we are going to be targeted, like clickbaited by the media, because it guarantees them clicks, and the clicks are revenue.
It's weird, though, because it's always been this way. And you look at us and you look at Man United, and we're both, let's be honest, we're both gigantic clubs, probably about the same size, get the same amount of viewers, same amount of clicks and hits on the internet, and somehow they get around in front of every story. So it's a positive story for them. They're a team in progress, which is basically French for shit, and and everything with us is a negative spin. And as you said, the Hillsborough stuff only comes up when we bring it up. The way the Leeds fans were reported was they were great because they applauded Harvey off the pitch, but that was after they'd spent 5 minutes whistling and heckling him, which didn't get mentioned at all. And then you look at tonight. Chelsea have come out about the sectarian abuse that the Villa player was getting, John McGinn. They've come out ahead of that story and turned it into a positive. Oh, we're absolutely against all discrimination. We're a great club, and we're dealing with this. Whereas had it been us, like with the Chelsea song, it's all negative. It's all Liverpool are doing this. Aren't they terrible because of this? And as I say, it's always been like that, and it has to connect in some way to the way the city has behaved. In the the city's always felt it's been badly treated, so it's become a sort of independent state that refuses to play ball with the media. But we just don't get a fair cut. We don't get a fair deal at all. And
I was reading an article that someone was sat next to in the away stand, next to a gentleman in his 60s, and clearly he was getting agitated as the Hillsborough song was going on and eventually broke down into tears. So you literally have a guy who is in some way connected to someone or somebody who passed away, and somehow that doesn't matter or factor into the equation. And we're eating shit because we're singing about rent boys. And if there's one homosexual prostitute in the Chelsea fans who was crying, right, you could at least say, well, here's someone directly impacted who's sitting there, right? And so you're kind of like, well, you can't. If someone sang about the Munich disaster, I bet you that was all you'd hear in the news, right? Yep. And so you're kind of like, you can't not be even-handed with everybody, and you have to call out these.
But apparently they can.
Yeah, but you got to call it out, or it's never going to stop, right? It kind of gives you carte blanche to keep singing that shit.
I was at a Liverpool under-18 games semi-final against United, and the United fans were there, and there was at an under-18 game they were singing the Hillsborough song. You know, it's just fucking joke. You know, it's
only going to end up leading to violence.
If we were to start the Munich song, you fucking hear more about that than what they were fucking doing. You know.
I think it'll only lead to violence too, right? We have people with a vested interest who lost someone probably close to them in their family or that they knew of, and eventually someone's going to fly off the handle because of that, right? A man will lose his shit over things that are really personal and close to their heart. And I don't know that there's any song that has been sung that could cause more harm than shitting on the bodies of the dead. Right. And it's really, I think probably one of the most abhorrent insults that could be done at a match.
Well, that and the Munich one as well. It's not like our fans don't do that to the Man United fans.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I mean, neither are a good thing.
I've been at Man United away. I haven't heard us sing it. You know, to be honest. Though I'm not saying that we're wider than Mike, like, you know,
but then you can see the video. I've seen videos.
I've been by their end, and they're doing the gestures and all that, like, and singing always the victims and all that kind of shit, you know. So
I think, listen, no club is without its faults, right? Every club has its idiots who are going to bring shame onto the rest of the supporters who otherwise are really good intentioned people. But it's the media's responsibility to call out those objectionable people so that it makes an example and it starts to say these aren't things that are acceptable at a match. Right. We can't police ourselves. We can't stop idiots from being idiots. Right. That's going to happen everywhere. Right. But if you don't start calling it out, then you're kind of saying you're complicit in the approval of it being done.
Yeah. The worrying thing now you see is younger fans who don't even know what the abuse relates to. So there was one debate going on where the fan was saying, oh, well, I mean, always the victims. That doesn't refer to anything. And it's like, yeah, it does.
Yeah, I saw that. Was that on Twitter?
Yeah. And you're like, are you telling me that you go to the ground and you sing those songs and you don't even know what you're saying?
Well, if you don't call it out and you don't say how bad it is, it starts to lose its meaning. So as younger people come who don't really have that knowledge of the event and everything else, right, it then becomes this thing that is just sung that for them is meaningless, but for the people on the other end really cuts to the core of who they are as a human being, right? So you essentially have someone making an insult who doesn't realize just how vile it is, right? And that's kind of part of what is going on with BLM and the taking of the knee and everything else. It's to help people realize just how abhorrent it is, the things that you are saying when you think they're kind of innocuous and really don't have an effect. And this kind of is the same thing, right? If you're going to build a society where people think it's just okay to sing it because they don't really know the meaning, and people are hurt by this, right? And I don't know. It's
the problem is, of course, it's not a wider social issue. It's a Liverpool centric issue, so they can just ignore it and say, well, you know, it's just a few people. Who cares? And they don't care. So
no. That's a bit of a somber note to end on. We can't. End on such a somber note.
Interesting. We've got Palace after Milan, which looks like a tasty fixture. And then and then Norwich again.
It's good. They got their win out of the way.
Have we got Norwich again?
Yeah, we've got them in the cup.
I was about to say we front load our season with 2 easy wins.
Yeah, I was going to say. I mean, Palace will be interesting.
Very interesting, yeah.
Because they now attack. It turns out.
Yeah. It's amazing what you can do without a Hutch.
But I don't know. They look.
I don't know. I thought their new signing, the guy they got from Celtic, right? Both of those goals were kind of, the keeper got the hand to one and didn't keep it out. The other one trickled past. I mean, they weren't brilliant goals. I think a better team, a better keeper keeps those out. What was it? I think it was Spurs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Hugo Lloris, for me, is how he's considered a great goalkeeper and how he starts for France is beyond me. I mean, I think he's one of the worst keepers in the league. So, I mean, both of those goals were savable. I don't fear him as much. I mean, he got a brace on his opening day, but he wasn't going up against Van Dijk and Matip when Fabinho in the middle. So
they've won one game and they've somehow escaped any genuine analysis and being sort of held up given quite a lot of praise. But as I say, they've won one game, and it was against Spurs, and they were highly Spursy on that day.
It was proper Spursy as well. They had a proper Spursy game.
I think we'll have too much class for them, to be honest. I'm expecting points. Yeah,
I think so too.
Especially if they don't sit back with Hodgson style. I mean, if they try to attack, it's like
I'm not even worried about that this season, to be honest. You know, I think we've got, especially Thiago now, starting how he has, especially on Sunday. Yeah, he just bought the midfielders, little passes. Like I see some of the stats today, like 89% accuracy and all that. Like just being in the right position when we're defending to pick the ball out from midfield.
I mean, he had that stellar game. Thoughts on the?
It's just like Chauffeur.
Thoughts on when he dawdled on the ball?
Forward. Sorry.
No, I was going to say he had a stellar game, but thoughts on when he dawdled on the ball, right? Like it seemed like there was a misconnection between, like Hayes looking at Henderson's looking at him.
Thinking about too many things, and he thought, I'll give it to you, Henderson. And he sort of flicks his foot at it.
But you could also see Henderson kind of like Henderson saying, no, not to me. Like
he's just thinking 6 different possible passes. And
yeah.
It was just one of those things, I think. He's a worldie. And as I say, if Garth Crooks says Thiago's good, then Thiago. It's official.
Excellent. Right, should we wrap it up on that?
Yeah.
No.
Put a blanket on it. Put it to bed.
Any more song titles I can fit in?
There was one.
You should just run down the album track in order.
I should have had Early Summer Nerves. Electric Barbarella I was trying to get in, but
Did you see his new haircut? It's like he went to an electric barber. Ella.
Yes, Ella. Yeah. What a femme fatale.
Only Rihanna can add an extra syllable into umbrella.
I mean, you've got to think of Harvey Elliott as a box full of honey. You know, he's a diamond in the mind. He's a great little one.
All right, well, that's it.
All right, boys.
It's
always
a wrap.
pleasure.
We've been past the move.
Are you gonna do a sign off?
Oh yeah, good one.
Who's
Thanks.
hosting here? Come on.
Pass no moves.
Tighten it up.
Well, this was this was Pass the Move, sponsored by 365 Radio. I'd like to thank Manny, Austin, and James for being amazing, and me for being marginally average.
It's been our finest hour.
This is going to be the most downloaded episode.
You're shit.
FSG out and Moose out.
This is why you don't want to be out. This is like the this is like Liverpool of the 80s. You don't want to go out injured. You'll never get back in the starting 11.
Exactly. Good stuff. Right. Thank you very much.
O relógio já passou dos 49 prometidos pelo árbitro. Cai a chuva. Que tensão. Cobrança de escanteio. Alisson! Alisson! Gol!
In case you hadn't figured it out, Moose was away at the Duran Duran concert and we tried to slip in as many Duran song titles as possible. There weren't many outtakes, but here they are for your listening pleasure.
So hopefully it'll be all right. What else have we got? I will cut these bits where I'm just basically rubbish, working out what to...
I say you leave it all in. People need to see how the House of Cards
how the
collapses.
magic happens.
People want to see how the sausage is made, right?
No, give Moose a big head. We can't have that.
Yeah, we cut it up. We make it sound super professional. We get Orson Welles to dub it.
Yeah, it's going to be the slickest thing ever. There's going to be intros and everything.
It's going to be scored by John Williams. It's going to be amazing.
Right, so that's that game. Shall we do Champions League? Oh, should we do Champions League?
Yeah.
Do we even
Yeah,
know?
I was surprised it was so early. There's been like no talk of the Champions League coming up, right? Usually in the press conferences, you hear, how are you preparing for this game plus the next one? So when I got like the pop-up on, the internet feed, and it was just like, oh, Champions League game. I'm like, already? Like, how has there been no talk of this at all? I feel like it's been swept under the rug.
I even said in the last podcast before last that, our next fixture was the Champions League. And then when Matt said it's the Champions League, I was like, what, really?
Yeah. Yeah. Who we got? Oh, it's Milan, isn't it?
Milan.
It's Milan at Anfield as well, isn't it? Are you going, Austin?
Yeah, I got tickets for me, my lad. So yeah.
Nice. Well, anyone know what Milan are like?
Italian.
Yeah,
Italian, stripy shirts.
Not the force they were.
Lacking a Zlatan, but they've got a Giroud instead. So
they got Giroud.
Zlatan took the day off because he doesn't want to be embarrassed. This way, he can still keep the mantle of he's the greatest.
Still keeping his fingers crossed for another statue.
Right, cool. That's Champions League then.
Oh wait, that was official. I thought we were still.
Yeah,
I thought we were still.
I was just going to rock. I was rocking with it and figured I'd just cut it all around.
I think we take it fresh because that can't be our final take. People are trying to listen to this shit.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, let's go for it then.
Yes,
good. Oh, that's the bit where I'm meant to say something, isn't it?
Yeah, of course.
The consummate professional.
I should do this for a living.
Duran Duran puns as well?
No,
I'm not counting. I'm expecting you to count them. I'm expecting you. I'm assuming you, judging by the way you're looking down all the time, that you've got a list of them. And then you're just ticking them off.
Tonight, or
these transitions are seamless.
Bingo.
Yes. Like, what the fuck are they talking about? I mean, how am I going to get the song title "The Man Who Stole a Leopard" in? I mean,
that's the one I saw. I've been trying to slip that one in.
Hey, wait, Keita was in Africa. Did he steal a leopard?
Oh,
yeah. There we go.
Yeah.
Oh, and he was.
You could have also said, when we're talking about Thiago, we could have shoehorned in that he was the best player between the white lines. So
you probably reshoot the intro on your own, Matt, saying Moose is not here tonight, so I'm the host, and he's jibbed us for a Duran Duran concert.
Right. What else have we got?
Excuse me, aren't you?
Bon, Simon, Le Bon.